Now, I guess you're wondering why I brought you all here today. I'm just kidding. I didn't do that. But we appreciate you being here. This will be very quick and painless and valuable. As somebody that literally is looking at all of the distribution chains and models in Web3, I say marketing's king, distribution's King Kong. There's no distribution. There's no publishing. There's no Billboard, Pitchfork, Fader. There's no Complex. There's no Vice. There's no Hearst. There's no Viacom, MTV, VH1, BET. There's no In the Basement, The Box. There's no Downtown Julie Brown. There's no Boiler Room or Mixmag even, right? That should tell you how early you are, right? And a lot of us hate hearing that word early, but realistically, there's an opportunity of a lifetime happening right now in Web3 for people interested in music, whether you're a collector, curator, creator, producer, engineer, designer, etc., etc. So, anyways, that said, I'm just gonna come in hot, heavy, loud, wrecking crew.
Let's do it.
I'm gonna start with you, TK.
Year. Year.
You're so with Web3 is an opportunity for music artists to reintroduce themselves. It's an opportunity for artists to introduce themselves, period, but it's a new opportunity for people from all over the world to discover new artists, right? And you're somebody that's been a trailblazer that people are following, people are listening to, people that are watching. You actually remind me of Breezy Lovejoy, who's now Anderson Paak, and I'm here for it. That said, what would you say is like one of the biggest forms of adversity or obstruction that an artist in Web3 music have to deal with?
Yeah, I wasn't. I wasn't expecting that one. Obstruction. Um, yeah, I would definitely say by far it's the learning curve. Like if you're a newer artist, which there are a lot of artists that are in the audience right now that are trying to get into Web3 that have no idea what's going on. And that's why things like this are useful. But I think definitely the terminology, the technology, the platforms, you know, the distribution, the forms of distribution, I think, in Web3 is all things that like artists have to learn. And we're so used to the conditioning of Web2 and like, even from a psychological level, is like being able to unlearn the things that we've been conditioned to believe in Web2, which is that like our music and our art is only as valuable as like fire emojis and likes on Instagram, right? So first of all, believing that somebody would pay us anything for our music, first and foremost, and then being confident enough to put that music out there and actually like sell it to people that want to have ownership in you as an artist. So I think that from a psychological level, from an educational standpoint, is definitely like onboarding. And then in Web3, we're still doing as much as we can to make it equitable. So like we're still trying to get away from Web2 vibes, which is like people being clicky and people cloud chasing and vanity metrics and did you sell out or did you not sell out? All of those things. They could be very intimidating as an artist, whether you've been in this space for a long time or if you're brand new, for sure. So I think it's really a mental hurdle first and foremost, and once you kind of get through that, then that's when you can start to see results.
Yeah, and I'll just add that I think it's a hurdle that's going to fall. I think once people realize that there's a real value there, there's a real value proposition, it's just like when people realize how they can be their own bank with a private key, it's a really massive driving factor. And so when an artist realizes that they can make more money, that they can get more attention, that they can get more direct contact with their fans, these things are just all driving factors that will get us over those hurdles of figuring out how wallets work and all these little technical things. So a massive drive is going to cause a massive use case, and that massive use case is just going to make these things that look like big problems just not even, you won't even think about them anymore. They'll just disappear into the background.
Well said. Well said. I'm Levi, by the way. Hello. Music producer and part of the Headless Band Chaos. Thanks, Lenny. Another Chaos member out there. And I think TK really said it in a great way that the biggest challenge is actually in trying to avoid just copy pasting the paradigms of what we know and it currently exists in Web 2, of like actually using a blank canvas. I think maybe Jordan said that earlier, of like truly looking at it as a blank canvas that we can build something new in is really fucking hard because you're dealing with really complicated things like intellectual property, and it's like how do you just come up with a new way to handle intellectual property? You look at the systems that already exist, right, as like a guide, and so the hardest part is like ignoring the parts that don't work and building something better. And I think that's what like Sound and Reveal and everyone's doing, is trying to find like a slightly better way to do the thing of spreading good music, right?
Absolutely. I mean, I think problems provide opportunities for solutions, right? Problems create opportunities for solutions for those that look at that as an opportunity versus looking at that as a hardship or, oh my fucking God, like why? Like really, I gotta deal with this now, right? But from vinyl to cassette to MP3, and even in between that, there was mini disc, and so on and so forth. It's like these are all format changes, and I think what is happening is like we're looking at another format change, right? And for Web3 music, there isn't a SoundCloud, Bandcamp, Tidal, Amazon, Apple, etc. They're coming. They're not far behind. They're watching. We're spending our time and money and effort and energy getting acclimated, getting educated, and doing what we can, where we can, how we can to put our best foot forward. But they're letting us be the guinea pigs and test subjects, so to speak, to explore the landscape and environment. And I think it's something to pay attention to, regardless of what side of it you're on. It's something to pay attention to, and it's not as if they are the enemy because they also are very solution based. They provide things at mass scale that can help us at certain points in times, but then there is a point that it becomes too much. But I would say, on the back of what TK said and you as well, that the education and the accessibility and how having people understand how to pick up what you're putting down is so valuable and important. So
Yeah, and I'll add, there's just a new model. So we have a lot of this kind of Web 2.5 to get through. Like you guys are describing licensing and all this distribution stuff. Like, yeah, those are tools. Again, those are things that are going to exist. But what they are revenue models. And so I look 5 years into the future. I look further down the road where this is going to land, and where this will land is thinking about markets in a different way. So you're not necessarily going to think about using these revenue models that could potentially lead your system to hurt the artist in certain ways. You're going to be thinking about art more like a public good. So when art is thought about like a public good, you have to think about how they optimize for things. So markets are just tools to come to the value of something. And so you can think about value in like a very finite way. It's a pay-per-click. It's something like a license. It's something that's standing between the art and the listener. Or you can think about value in a larger sense. You can think about the public good value, and you can think about art in a way that it's beyond that very immediate click value. It's what's like called an external value. So these things provide value for society, and that is going to get marketed in. So we market that into Web3. That's kind of what Web3 does. It's a vehicle for marketing in external values that traditionally aren't priced into the current markets. And once that stuff starts getting priced in, what we're going to start seeing is artists making way more money than they're used to making. They're going to be getting attention in ways that couldn't be achieved before, and you can cut through a lot of the curation problem. So I'd actually be curious if TK could talk about, for me, like the internet created a lot of everything. and that can lead to like a massive database that you have to filter through, and it's kind of hard to find stuff. And even if we create more artists, how do we find those artists? Do you think that curation's an important role in the space?
Yes, I do think curation has a lot of value. Really, in any industry or like with any product or any platform, first and foremost for like quality purposes, I guess, right? Like music is kind of the only thing where, you don't necessarily have to have a degree or, some extensive level of study to be able to put your creation in front of the entire world. All you need is a MacBook and a microphone. And so from that perspective, I understand why curation is valuable. At the same time, there are people that can weaponize curation in a way that is, not beneficial to a lot of artists. There's so much talent, I think, out there that isn't getting the light of day because they don't look a certain type of way, or they don't sound a certain type of way, or they don't know the right people. And so I think it is important to create a system, I think, of curation where it's fair and it's equitable to everybody, that isn't based on some type of metric that none of us can really live up to. So I think Web3 is great for trying to solve that so far. We're still seeing like heavy amounts of curation on Web3 platforms, but I think a lot of that is because we're early and we're trying to make a good impression with like the general public. And so I think as mass adoption comes in, like we'll see a little less curation, but I think we'll see kind of better ecosystems for everybody that's in it.
One major thing that a lot of people don't recognize is whether you're a curator, creator, or collector, everybody is a curator. You have a playlist, you have things that you visit on a regular basis, you have places that you go, you are an aficionado of the support that you give, and your dollar is your vote, right?
Absolutely agree, 100%. Yeah, I think TK, you nailed it on the problem side, and it can be a problem, but it can also just be the way that we find our way through like the noise, right? So I think Web3 curation, like you're saying, the community side of things, we all listen to playlists, we all enjoy playlists. Playlists are awesome. We know culture probably better than a lot of people that are just sitting on some ivory tower, no culture. So the community side of curation is really important, but I do see it as an additive thing. I think that there's like a very special reason to have somebody that studies culture and can be really good at culture, but it's dangerous. I think you said that, TK. It's one of those things that left in the hands of just a few, it can lead to risks of culture being defined by people that don't really hang out with us and in this room. So for now, like let's just kind of push that goalpost forward, and like let's think about decentralized curation, and let's all come together as communities to define what we think is cool, and let's add that on top of music supervision and sync licensing and music producers and things like that. So we can work together. I think we have a lot of room in the space to help sift through that noise together.
Yeah, because I would just I'll totally agree with pretty much everything said, and I would say that curation's an interesting thing, and shout out Water Music, any Water Music people out here? See a few, yeah, nice. Got to check it out if you don't know of them. Sherry, Lenny in the audience, hello. We're working on this streaming music podcast, and we're doing a bunch of research, and something really interesting happened in the transition between the technology that you mentioned of like cassettes to mini discs to CDs, and that the actual what people want to do, what we all want to do with music is curate. Like that's what we're doing every day, whether you're a musician or just a regular listener, awesome music listener fans. Sorry. Like no matter where your role is in the industry, like that's what we all want to be doing, right? Is like curating. And like what if rather than us deciding like whoever gets the most venture money or whoever has the best like idea that cuts through in the current marketplace. Like, what if instead of those people deciding what we listen to, what if we all decided what we listen to and what is most important to listen to? That would be an interesting experiment that really hasn't been done. Maybe a little bit in like early days of SoundCloud, right? When there really wasn't much algorithm and whatever was listened to the most actually got promoted. Like that, I mean, some people were okay with the results of that and some people not. But anyways, I think that's where we're at kind of in Web3 is like a chance to redo that and maybe have a version of that doesn't involve like just a select few people. Yeah.
It definitely goes to the unlearning, right? And the reversing of things because it's the blog era, right? It's Napster, Kazaa, BearShare, Mega Upload, Pirate Bay, Silk Road, whatever you use. I don't know why. I don't know anything, but I said too much. You don't know me.
The van is coming.
You know. What is that? World of Warcraft, FCC. Anyways, but yeah, I mean, and the beautiful thing is everybody can be a curator. You find 5 people, 10 people, 15, 50, 500 individual things from all of these individuals, and you can produce something great together. And smart contracts and automation and the allowance/opportunity to fractionalize and split and really keep that shit transparent and above water and authentic is a really beautiful and important and powerful thing. And I think everybody should be empowered to curate something, right? We do that when we bring friends together to go to a place to eat that most of them haven't been to, or we're all coordinating to come to Seker DAO for an event with really incredible artists and be surrounded by a bunch of beautiful people, right? So that said, bringing community together and doubling down on the culture that is derived from community being cultivated within. What do you all feel about? I hate to even say it, but what do you all feel about DAOs? Right, the future of community, quote unquote. Yeah, I got to do the air quotes.
I mean, everyone's now looking at the DAO guy. So I will comment on that. I think at the core, DAOs are just a way to come to a decision that's better when it's pluralistic, meaning that it involves everybody. That's not necessarily good for every decision. There's, very quick decisions that need to be made that DAOs aren't going to be good at. But whenever we're talking about defining culture, I sure as hell want everybody involved. I want everybody to tell everybody else what culture is, work together on that, have debates about it, vote on it, and that's, I think, one of the strengths of DAOs when you have a question like that to answer. But we don't have to go too deep into DAOs. I think we should probably get deep into some music tonight. And so what this panel was just to give you hope, and I hope you guys feel hopeful that the little problems that are seemingly challenges, they are going to go away, they're going to melt away in the background, and that you're going to have a better culture at the end of this. We're all going to get better culture.
And remember, without us, there is no them.
Absolutely.
It's not us versus them, but without us, there is no them. A store with no products or a marketplace with no art is just a very high overhead, right? And you have to have commerce to have a market. So at the end of the day, buyer, seller, creator. I keep getting cut. I feel like somebody's watching me. No, but at the end of the day, like everybody should be inspired and motivated to really like take all of this in and realize the opportunity that's at your doorstep. I literally have seen, I want to say a couple thousand people's lives changed at this point between November, December 2020 until now. And even the hardship that was attached to COVID, like this space has, it's revolutionary technology during a digital renaissance changing the lives of people every single fucking day. So yeah, that's it. Let's give it up for you all. Whee! All right. And then we are going to get into the music. Feel free to grab a drink and meet your fellow creator, curator, collector, and We're going to be turning up for the next few hours. I'm going to be DJing. We have performances. We have some really incredible talent in the house. So yeah,